out at the end to get your feedback on the class and how useful it was and how much you value these types of lunch and learn situations, and also what you'd like to learn in the future. Jess would appreciate a break, so don't pick NetSuite next time.
Don't make it personal. Yeah, so hopefully we'll go through this real fast. No. So this week is, or this month, is NetSuite reporting. Some of it I'll touch on what we did last time, just from, they kind of overlap because your dashboards are populated with reports. So, and hopefully there's some new things in here as well at the end, and you have some tips on here. And this time I did put together a presentation, so I can share that afterwards too.
Don't have to write a lot of stuff down.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
To try to repeat what I said. Some of it will cover what we went through last time, just because the dashboards were made up of the reporting components within NetSuite. At the end, there are some kind of tips for NetSuite. And then because I did do a presentation this time, I'll be able to share it, so you'll have some of the information. Not that it'll be kind of mixed between the presentation and going into NetSuite, so hopefully we'll kind of fumble my way through it. So different types of NetSuite reporting. Save searches is probably the thing we utilize the most. Most of your dashboards are made up of this. A lot of the data exports, just getting raw data out of the system, we use save searches for. Integrations, connecting different data points, so the subtabs. So when you go to an item and you look at related records to see what transactions are under that item as far as sales orders, fulfillments, adjustments, those are saved searches being built to connect the transaction with the item record. Reports, these are mostly used for the financial and accounting team. We also have customer sales reports, sales by reps, inventory reports. So if you want to know how much inventory was on hand as a certain period, saved searches won't get you that, but there are reports that can get you that if you want to check stock at the end of December. We know we can go into the item and look at how much we currently have on hand, but if we want to evaluate it at a certain period. A lot of the backorder reports by program are also out of the reports section of NetSuite. There's analytics. So this is kind of taking what a lot of people do as far as pivot tables in Excel and building it within NetSuite. So you take the large sets of data, you're able to create tables or pivot tables within NetSuite in their interface. So you're not exporting the data all the time. You can just go into NetSuite and you have that data repopulate, refresh right there. Customer dashboard, it's not necessarily reporting, but I wanted to touch on it just so that everybody's aware that when you go to a customer record, there's a dashboard specifically tailored to that customer. And then, like I said, there'll be other tips at the end as far as like keyboard shortcuts and just touching on filters and wildcard searches. So first thing I want to touch on save searches is the inline edit. Can't put enough emphasis on this because
Because that's what happens.
no, I'm not logged in. I should have had like all these tabs open. There we go.
It's all good.
Just so that you're not opening each record to edit certain fields. So anytime you see that pencil mark, go to where it would be, above a field, you can edit that field right in that report or save search or dashboard. I just want to go to the PO dashboard. One of the things that we did, I'd say last fall, is the ship date or the enhanced date is now a field that you can edit. Natively by NetSuite, you can't edit this field, but there's a workaround where we create a secondary field where you update that field and it automatically will update the native NetSuite field. So,
Can I ask a question?
Yep.
But as a salesperson, we can't do edits once the PO's been placed. So, right?
On a sales order?
Yes.
Correct. Right.
We're not
So-
talking.
Yeah, and it's more like informational fields, so it just depends on what it is. So you can't get down to the line. This would be header information, so like dates, job names. That makes sense, Lily? So definitely encourage using this feature as far as edits. Another one I had listed was the inventory tracking number. We created a field, so instead of using a sticky note, we created a field where you can go in onto the search or the, whatever it is, dashboard, wherever you are, and enter in the tracking number there. So it'll populate on the item record, and kind of clear out of your queue because you're not marking it shipped, it's waiting until it hits the receiving dock. But that field is available to use, it's trackable, we can report off of it, look at any POs that don't have that tracking number, instead of using the sticky note. You know, they're great for communication, but we can't track any of that information that's on sticky notes. So I'm trying to move a little bit away from sticky notes as far as what can we put in the system to have better visibility for it. So there's another one, opportunities to try to touch on another role. So I have tons of past due opportunities. You can see that all in red, and Eddie is a very bad customer because he's not converting those into sales orders. But same thing, like if I want to change my expected close date, now it's past due, I can come in and say, okay, I just talked to him, he said April 1st is a go. So I can change that without having to go into the opportunity itself. You know, with this, like, so yeah. I'm gonna say something, but it would be too complicated for me to do, so take it back. The next part is the dashboards. So again, we went over that last time. Just being able to, we publish certain dashboards for you that contain information that either we've worked with other people to try to gather, or providing input is always welcome as far as what you would want to see to do your jobs to the best that you can do. So some of the ones that we have published for account executive are AE views, the SS dashboard, which kind of looks at shared services, like which members of shared services have more activity, so your open orders are your POs, business development, and then your leads and prospects. Account managers, my programs is customized, and then they also have the leads and prospects dashboard as well. Shared services has the SO and PO dashboards, and then the customer service dashboard. And then your home dashboard, when you first log in, can be anything you want it to be. So another function of saved searches is email alerts. So I think everybody probably gets those at some point or another, either through past due stuff to try to alert you. I think there's one that's invoices paid in full for a sales rep, so you get notified when customer pays, so then you can kind of keep track of the commissions that are coming due to you. So who can receive them? Employees, so anybody. It's like, if it's a field on the record, so a sales rep at CPS, who created it, who is it assigned to. So as long as the employee is on the record, it can automatically go to that employee, or it can go to, like, if I were to receive invoices paid in full, I would receive everybody's. But if I'm sending it just to the sales rep only sees what they're assigned to. So we can send them to customers, which we do, vendors, and then contacts. So there are many cases where customers will want, their accounting department might want reports. We can create a contact instead of a sub-customer and send them these reports. So we do this on record changes. So if it goes from one value to another, we can send an alert. We do this when inventory is received in the back. GSA team gives an email notification, control or check reports. So if information is missing or margin is low, we can do control reports to send to you to notify you that, hey, this is wrong. summarized reports, and daily activity reports. So I went through some examples, but everybody probably gets some of these quarantine reports. We do stock alert reports for programs, open sales orders. Further shipment reports those are sent to the customer every Friday, of what's been shipped out. And then inventory received email that notifies GSA, like the sales order has been received and inventory is put away. Export data and integration. So if we want to pull in large sets of data to analyze it, we can just create a search, grab it out of NetSuite, download it to Excel, and do the data manipulation from there. We utilize Safe Service for parcel integration, Soligo, the Shopify connections. All the data that's pushed to Shopify, put on NetSuite, is just Safe Service. So it's very simple as far as what their integration is to push that out. Thank you. Blockcoin, we export data for Blockcoin. Messed up my timing there. But we also utilize like Google Sheets integration. So all these searches we create, we can pull automatically into Google Sheets, refreshes anytime we want, an hour, every day. We can manually refresh it just by a quick click of a button. And that builds to the Google Studio. So all the TVs that we have around the office, we are pulling the data out, putting it into a Google Sheet, and then creating a dashboard visible on the TVs. As I mentioned before, it provides additional information on related transactions. So on the customer side, when I go under the sales and I want to look at my customers' transactions, I can view their related records. One of the things I did yesterday while I was preparing this is I realized I could kind of publish a default view for everybody. So hopefully most of you see kind of the same view now, but I'm going to, it's kind of weird, maybe.
I have a question when you're done.
Yeah, publish it for this role. I'm gonna ask it now.
Yeah, so let's say I have a customer who has several different departments, several different people ordering. Is there a way, like I just got a email said, what's the minimum on this particular month? They've ordered it before. I have no idea. I mean, instead of me going line by line, can I put the item number in there somewhere?
So this is kind of what I was gonna show you.
Oh, God.
But
Love being it on.
I might have to to change it slightly, because in my head, I'm viewing it, I'm seeing it different than when I saw it yesterday. So, and maybe it's just a good thing to walk through. So,
You can go to that customer if you want. I mean, I don't know. Don't know the item number.
what's the,
Quantic, Quontic. And it's Gabriella.
I'll start at the main.
Okay.
Because it should, all those transactions should roll up to the parent
Okay.
too. So if you don't even know who it was for
Oh,
previously,
that's awesome, yeah.
it should roll up.
I mean, even as vague as Tumblr,
Yeah, so it, like,
without the item.
might not, we wouldn't be able to search for the item, and this is where I was hoping, I don't know why it was different on the other screen. So the view, called view with job name is customized, and you're looking for Tumblr. So under job name, here I'm gonna use the wildcard percentage sign, which anything before Tumblr will show, and then I'm gonna use it at the end, so anything after Tumblr will show. Your standard view just shows you like, what's your document number, how much, all this other stuff. So on the far right, I do have job name visible, and then I also put job name in filter. So now I'm looking at anything where Tumblr is listed. So narrowed it down to 4 previous orders where Tumblr was in the job name.
Okay, so the wild card is the percentage sign, right?
Yep.
So front and back of that word.
And you know, if you don't like this view, you say, I wanna get rid of some of the fields, I wanna add fields, you have the ability to customize the view, to where, you know, you can delete, decorate your address if you want, you can add fields, so if they're on the sales order, just start typing in the same field that's on the sales order that you wanna add to see. As long as it's the header level, it'll populate. If it's line information, it will not populate.
That's cool, thank you.
You can also have available filters, so like if you wanted to search by something else other than job name, status, or type, you can add that in there as well. So you can use that as a search field.
I think you just saved me a lot of hours.
Yeah. It's probably stuff that should be communicated prior, but, you know, I just realized that I could publish maybe a standard view to everybody instead of everybody customizing the view. So, there might be things that you find helpful that can be added, you can add those so that everybody has the same visibility.
Now, you said that's only if it's in the job name, though, like not if it's on the product line?
Correct. Yeah, so like if you wanted to search for, like, you know, at GSA, you're doing like the item number, so you have to know, you know, item number, or if you put that in the job name, if it's Tumblr or a t-shirt, you'd be able to search it, but not that.
Okay.
It's only for that main line. Next we go to items, and same thing where I try to publish a new view for an item record. Because to me, having the visibility on some transactions, I don't know why I didn't. Why didn't this? Sorry.
Are you going to the right user?
Well, maybe, I'll check, make sure all of those have the same default for permissions. I just found it yesterday, so. Alright, so here I'm showing a custom item view, and I like to see kind of memo fields. Also, it will tell me the Shopify order number that would come through. If we're looking at sales orders from Shopify, I can quickly identify, like, I can find an order number. I can search for that Shopify order number here. If there's inventory adjustments, like the receiving team on adjustments coming in, they put the PO number in this memo field. So that's the PO number that's related to this quantity of 50 coming in to the warehouse. So instead of trying to search for it or anything, I can quickly go to related records and try to find all the documentations instead of opening up the adjustment to get that PO number. I just have it visible right here. One of the things we started doing for program is adding finished goods view to the sales order. So having that visibility, we have a new sub-tab where we can look at what are the orders related to that SKU that we processed, the status, whether it's billed or open, what's the quantity. So this has helped a lot for me going into a lot of bar school stuff, trying to figure out what's on order, what's open, reconciling some of that. So definitely use this tab if you're working with programs or. The other one I wanted to touch on is, bad example, but anybody know, okay? Does anybody know the Kiwanis bumper sticker item? Wonder? Okay, got it. See, if I use the wild card, because I do part of it, but not all of it. So,
Is that something you just figured out with the percentage sign, or is that like common enough?
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I've never done
So some places, like, it depends on the system, it'll be like an asterisk or some other symbol. So we have, let me try the other one.
that. In 0617.
Not 0, 0, 6, 7. Is this the one that's part of the kit though?
That's what came out.
Okay, so I think this is one that will be a good example. So we have almost 5,000 on hand, 400, almost 400 committed, and then only 3,600 available. So yesterday it showed 0 available, would have been a better example, because math would have been a lot easier. But basically, we're missing about 1,000 pieces somewhere between what's committed and what's available that don't add up to what's on hand. So one of the tabs I wanted to point out is this inventory detail tab. And it breaks down where the product is, what bin, and then what status. So the difference between what's on hand and committed and available is that 937 are in tagging. So I just want to mention that this tab is super useful when looking at inventory discrepancies for the programs. Now we'll go to sales orders. And most of you should be familiar with this as well. Looking at related records. And I suppose simplest view is what are my fulfillments, my purchase orders, their status. We have added 2 custom ones, PO bill detail. So it'll list the POs, have a link to the PO, what was the PO amount, what's the bill amount, and if there's any variances between those. It'll also list the bill number. So, you know, if there's ever questions coming back and forth between the vendor about a PO and a bill, you can also use this tab to look into.
I can't see it that well, but no, it's just my eyeballs. But I noticed that is a customer, and you said a customer of mine. So when you say variances, so like their last order, they got the wrong hat, so they're gonna keep it at a discount, that's gonna show there? Does it show there? I can't tell. Maybe that's it.
This is more variance between what the vendor invoices and what we had a cost on the PO.
Oh, okay, thanks, Jackie. Thanks for reading my mind, Jackie.
Forget me.
Because you're a year older, you can do that now.
And then the other one is freight costs, so being able to have visibility into the freight costs too. So you can see that on the sales report. We have the order review, so you know, we use a safe search to create this custom sub-tab that connects to the order review process. Not everybody's necessarily familiar with this, but it is kind of like a checklist of making sure that everything on the order can be processed correctly.
Thank you.
So going into reports, I don't have a whole lot on reports, don't really use them a whole lot. Like I said, mostly financial information. They do have more power than safe searches. They might just be a little bit more clunky to handle and to manage. So the great thing about reports is the fact that you can kind of backdate reports. So if I want to look at something from 2021, I can choose my date filter to do 2021. More on a safe search, you can still do the same thing, but it's just going to give you kind of raw data for the most part on a safe search instead of more summary type level data. So everybody should be able to go to this reports section. There are things that are kind of like just out of the box, sales by customer, sales by sales rep. We do have a section, if it's saved reports, it's everything that we've customized. And we should go through and clean this up because there's a lot of duplicates in here, so it can be confusing. We might not use, like, who needs a win sales order sample 10 times? So we can do some cleanup on that end too. But if I click on sales by sales rep, it's gonna open up for this year. I can come down here and change how I wanna see the structure of the column. So if I don't wanna see it by month, I just wanna see it by total, I can change the column to total and hit refresh. And I can just see the total for year to date. If I wanna go to 2021, hit refresh, and it takes a minute, but it'll run for 2021. So there's a little bit more flexibility with reports to run information. And then even here, if I want to go back to see it by month, maybe let's just do quarter, so it's not big. It'll spread out the information in the different quarters for me, so I can see them in columns instead of just the total view. And even from here, you have the ability to, I don't know who Lori Arno is.
She wasn't here very long.
You have the ability to click on the number and it gives you more detail around what makes up that total. So now I can see the exact transactions that make up that amount. So like I said, financial reports, customer sales reports, sales by rep, inventory reports are good for this just because you can get what's on hand at a certain date. And then we have backward reports as well. We have the ability to customize them too, so we can add the same fields that you see on the searches or your dashboards. Analytics. So this is kind of taking Excel and pivot tables and putting it within NetSuite. So I have an example to go to. I'm gonna go to, like, there's, part of it's called data sets, the other part is workbooks. So I'm gonna go to the data set first, and you'll see that that looks more just like, you got a bunch of fields on the left, and then you'll have the output data on the right. So all these fields that you see on the left are related to the transactions. It can be overwhelming, but it's kind of a little bit more of a user-friendly way to try to, like, move the fields over that you want to see. And then it outputs it into a large table. So we have tons of data here that might not be that useful for me. I can export it, and drop it into Excel and manipulate it. Or you can create a workbook. So where I want to summarize the data into a chart or into a pivot table, I can do that within NetSuite. And then those charts or pivot tables can be viewed on your dashboard or within NetSuite, or emailed to you as well. So again, like, this is all the table, all the data, might not mean much to me, but the moment I go into a chart, I can visually see what are we invoicing by month, per customer. just a little bit more flexibility as far as if I don't want to see certain customers, I can start taking them away. So I'm left with maybe only the ones I want to see. So it just kind of has some manipulation you can do within the chart. Let's look at the pivot style tool. So, and this might be, you get the whole data, so you're saying, what was December? And by customer. So now I'm looking at, summary level of the data with all the transactions that added up for daily wire in December, it adds up to 544. So instead of getting hundreds of rows of data, it's doing the summary for you off of that table that we created. So kind of powerful. We don't utilize it, so I think we can. It's just what can we utilize it for? If people want certain information, would love to have ideas, like, saying, I want to see this, that, like, we can work with you to get that for you. Especially the stuff that a lot of times things, when they're graphically laid out, are more visually appealing to you to understand and to process. So if there's things like that we can work to get you, definitely reach out. Customer dashboard. So everybody knows going to a customer, you get lots of information. At the top, there's this little dial of your car going fast. You can click on that and it'll lead you to a customer dashboard. You'll see just company information over to the left, or contact and phone, address, AP email, just different things. And then you have some KPIs. So what are your sales? You can look at it. So this is this fiscal year versus last fiscal year, so you can see what you're doing currently versus last year. And on down the line. So average days of pay, that's a good one, that they're staying pretty consistent. Some of these we don't use cases for customers in NetSuite, so we can probably customize that and we can get rid of some we don't use, but it's definitely a good place to look at if you want customer information. Especially, what do I do with this customer year over year? Am I progressing? Am I behind what I was last year? How can I make up that gap? Just different things. Down below, you do have your sales orders and your activities related to that customer. So this should be just standard setup for any customer you want to go to. You will be able to see this information. It even has like your top 5 items by sales, which is interesting because it's all like non-inventory items, but they might mean something more to you than they do to me. But. And the last piece is kind of tips to remember. Inline editing, using that wildcard on a search, whether it's a global search or in the search of like a search of a search. On your dashboard, if it's a blank field where you can write in text, you can use the wildcard to search. There are keyboard shortcuts, so when you're doing data entry, you type in a T, the date will populate as today. So all these are date fields. If you type in Y, it'll go to yesterday. Shift T will be tomorrow. M is last day of the month. L is last day of the prior month. And then if you, I actually don't know, I have add plus or minus, and it adds or subtracts a day, but now I'm questioning whether or not you put that, where you put that when you type in the date. So that might take some testing. There's also some tips for the global search. So if you're in a field on a page in NetSuite and you hit Alt G or Command G for a Mac, it'll take your cursor straight to the global search, so you don't have to go to your mouse, go up to the global search, but you can do a keyboard shortcut to get straight up to the global search. You can use quotations for an exact match. The percent is the wild card. This was kind of neat, and underscore is in between. So if you know, like you're searching for a customer that starts with a 4 and ends with a 5, you can do 4_5, then it will give you the results of 415, 425, 435, and so on. If you're doing a search that you know you will want to open a new window, you can do the double colon. When you hit enter, it'll open that search in a new window, so you don't have to necessarily do the right click, open a new window. And then the plus sign after the search text will show you both active and inactive results.
That looks like a super helpful reference page. I'm gonna stick that one up on Workplace.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole, like, because I made a good presentation on it, just a couple of pages.
Yeah, that'd be
There's ways to-
Yeah, that's work. Any other questions for Jessica, online or here?
Can you repeat everything you said?
That was helpful, Jess, thanks.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Jewel said, great info. Will you share the deck? Yes, Jewel, we will.
Yeah, and like I said, even last time, don't hesitate to reach out if you are struggling to find information in the system. Like, we can help navigate through that and try to get you, either show you where it's at or get you a report that makes the most sense to provide to you. We definitely underutilize some aspects of the system, so.
Awesome. Well, I got everybody's name. I'm gonna be sending you guys a questionnaire about the event, just to see rank value for these. I mean, I think they're pretty well attended, so there must be pretty high value in learning all these tips and tricks, but. Yeah. It's true. We'll see next month when it's somebody else teaching if we get the same response. Alrighty, guys, thank you so much for attending. And thank you, Jessica. Shout out. Shout out.